Hey, how is everybody doing today? How is everybody doing tonight, I should say? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Let's take a look. Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back to Petroglyphs in the Sky. I'm your host, Jeff Woolwine. Oh, my God. This is the last video, the last show of 2020. Can you believe it? This damn year is almost over with. Only a few more days. It's been a rough year, and I hope everyone has been doing okay with it as best they could. And, let's just hope and pray that next year will be a hell of a lot better and we can get things back to normal. So on that note, I'm glad you guys are here tonight. Hope you guys are doing safe, doing good. Everything's going okay with you guys. And so tonight we're going to talk about a few UFO sightings. I'm going to show some petroglyphs, things like that. One UFO sighting was from a friend of mine on Facebook, Eddie Murray, and he filmed something back in 2015 in Queens, New York. I thought it was pretty interesting, so we're going to show that tonight. And we're also, I've been on South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona. Many years. I was born and raised in Phoenix. I've hiked all over that mountain. I did some serious investigation work on what the Phoenix Lights really is. And, I crossed my T's, I dotted my I's, I presented my facts. Everything is, that I discovered is correct, is true. 15 to like 17 years of research out there on that mountain, from sky watching to chasing these UFOs all over the valley, to hiking on South Mountain, exploring the petroglyphs, contacting a Native American shaman who's actually employed with the city government out there at the Pueblo Indian Art Museum. It's an Indian museum. I had him go up there and teach me the petroglyphs and their interpretations and their meanings. And also, I went to the source of it all, to the heart of it all. I went to the downtown Phoenix Library, tried to find out some information there, and that's when I discovered, everything that I was finding on the mountain as far as Mayan tombs and gold and altars and talking about these spirit beings, these creatures that we're seeing in the sky today. Was all public knowledge in the Phoenix Library, tucked away for 80 years in a folder, in a government folder, and and no one has ever seen this for like 80 years. So not only did I prove it all with the hiking and exploring on South Mountain, the sky watching, calling in a Native American shaman who works for the city of Phoenix at an Indian museum, and, checking out the information in the Phoenix Library. I've done more research, I believe, than anybody else has here in Phoenix, Arizona. And, it was fun doing it. It was exciting. I love exploring. I love history. And, I stumbled across something that hasn't been told in 80 years. And it's completely the opposite of what the city archaeologists are leading us to believe. So anyway, my point is I found a huge wall, up on South Mountain. All right. Now, this wall was constructed. I mean, it's huge. Okay. We're going to show photographs of it. I'm going to show you what's going on here. And it was kind of high up on a hill, right there at the beginning of South Mountain. I'll talk about that here when we get into it. But it was constructed. The only thing I can think of on who made this gigantic wall, it had to have been giants. I mean, we found giants, carving petroglyphs on South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona, also around the mountains of the Valley of the Sun. And, some of the Native American myths do talk about giants here in Phoenix, Arizona. So not only is there petroglyphs, but there's evidence, man. There's physical evidence that somebody very powerful was moving blocks around, moving boulders around, setting them up on teeter-totter angles to cast the sun's shadow during the equinox and solstice to create a shadow effect. And, these boulders, like I said, they're teeter-tottering. Okay, and in my book, Petroglyphs in the Sky, Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, you can actually see the photographs of these massively large, huge stones, and they're teeter-tottering on each other, and they've been sitting there for, 1,000 years, maybe 2,000 years? I don't know how long, but it's ingenious on how these stones haven't moved, and they're teeter-tottering on each other. So I also found this wall up there, and it just reminds me, looking at it, looking the way it's been constructed. We know that the Mayans were here in Phoenix, Arizona, and so we have seen the way they constructed their walls and things like that, and we've also seen the walls and how they were constructed on the Great Pyramids and such. And that's what I think that we're dealing with here on South Mountain. Now it's like on the back side of it, you can clearly see it's a constructed wall. Okay, it's a big, huge wall. But on the other side, facing the city of Phoenix, it's been blown up. All right, and we're going to show photographs of that. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to show some videos of some of these entities. I believe I have one entity I'd like to show you that actually comes out of South Mountain. It's great. And we're going to see that tonight. Also, I was going through the web, and I found this spectacular video of this UFO hanging around one of, I believe it's Mexico's volcanoes. And those of you who have been following me for all these years understand why these UFO creatures, these UFO entities are hanging around these energy spots, especially volcanoes and fault lines. You know the reason why. And those of you who are new to this channel, new to this subject, we're going to talk about that tonight. So without further ado, make sure you like, comment, and share this video. Let's get these informations out there. Let's tell the people exactly what's going on. This is not hearsay. This is proven evidence. Okay, everything that I'm going to present to you tonight, I can back up. All right, everything for the last 20 years, man. I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona. I've seen the Phoenix lights when I was a kid. I've seen these orbs in the sky. I pretty much grew up with these things in the sky. This is what led me in this spot now, talking to you about these things, because I wanted to find out what the hell was going on, because everywhere I went, there they were. So that's exactly what I did. I went on a quest. I went on a hunt. I dedicated, many, many, many years into what the Phoenix Lights really is and the truth. And I believe I came across a major cover up here that hasn't been told in the last 80 years. And that's what it's all about. This is what it's all about, bringing the information to you. Okay, if you can't get to the mountain on your own, then I bring the mountain to you. So make sure you like, comment, and share the video. And I really appreciate that. And so I wrote this book. It's called The Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky, Landscape for the Spirits, True Stories, Myths, Legends, and UFOs over Phoenix. Now, this actually goes into the lost history of Phoenix, Arizona. This is history that hasn't been told, like I said, for 80 years. There's tons of photographs in there. Like I said, I had a Native American shaman explain to me what the petroglyphs are talking about up there, what they're interpreting. Interpreting? I don't know. We'll get it right. And so, tons of photographs there of the petroglyphs. Lots of true meanings on what these glyphs are talking about in the book. Also, it goes into the history of Phoenix, Arizona. This isn't a normal, everyday UFO book. Okay, this is something, completely different. Some people will get it, some people won't. Some people will get it in 10 years from now. Okay, so this book is way before its time. All right, so this book it takes the audience, it takes the reader on a magical type journey, okay, back in through time, understanding what Phoenix, Arizona truly is, the history of the Hohokam Indians, what happened to the Hohokam Indians, all the way up until, the first park ranger, Charles Holbert, who knew about the Hohokam Indians, who was instructed in the 1930s to protect the gold tombs. Yes, I said gold tombs that are on South Mountain. There are a few photographs and stories in this book that shows photographs of these concealed tombs that hasn't been opened since the Mayans, since the Hohokam. And I believe, and in my opinion, I believe that we need to at least open up one tomb to find out exactly, this is our history here. Okay, we have an obligation to understand our history, where we come from, not being, told by some archaeologists that don't want us to understand this history. Okay, but yet when you go out there and you go off the trails and you go hiking and you explore the mountains yourself, you will come to conclusions. Look, there's a lot of stuff that's evident. I love archaeology. I've been an amateur archaeologist for many, many, many years, way before I started doing this quest, this adventure. So I'm into this. I'm into the archaeology. I can spot something man-made a mile away. I'm very good at what I do. I can spot a pottery shard 2 miles away. Okay, I am very good at what I did, and going out there on South Mountain, I found a lot of stuff that did not add up on what the archaeologist is supposed to be telling us. Okay, so everything wasn't adding up. I'm finding tombs. I'm finding sacrificing altars out there, right? I'm finding petroglyphs of Mayans. Okay, the Mayans were along with the Hohokam Indians in the Valley of the Sun in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, does the archaeologist talk about this? No. Does the archaeologist tell you, look, there's tombs up there? No. But yet, when you go out there, you can clearly see. You can clearly tell that there is something buried there. Just like with the wall I'm getting ready to show you guys tonight. The huge, massive boulders, right? That are teeter-tottering on a corner. 2 boulders teeter-tottering on a corner, arranged towards the east, towards the equinox and the summer, morning skies, the morning sunrise, right? Okay, oriented that way. These damn things been sitting there for I don't know how long. All right, but is the archaeologist telling you about this? No, man. What does the petroglyphs say about all this? Or is the archaeologist telling you, look, they're talking about, things in the sky? No, he wants you to believe that this is a vision, that these are, constellations in the sky, all this crazy stuff. But it doesn't add up. It does not add up. Everything that archaeologist is wants us to believe, and when we go out there on the field and we investigate it, it's not correct. It is not what is going on here. And then I go to the Phoenix Library, right? And I open up a folder on South Mountain, and it talks about the first park ranger from the 1930s, who protected the gold tombs that the Indians of that day told Charles what was here, what exactly the Phoenix lights and these lights in the skies and these beings that we're seeing in the skies today, and the tombs and the altars and the Hohokams and the Mayans. Now, when Charles Holbert was the first park ranger, the Indians told him, look, you need to protect these tombs. And in his journals, in Charles Holbert's journals, he writes on how many, many, many times he has chased gold robbers or gold tombs, the gold drifters, whatever, people trying to dig up these tombs off the mountain. And so Charles Holbert, he's not only the city of Phoenix park ranger in Phoenix, but, all over the whole west side of the United States. I found information on Charles Holbert in Colorado's major government library. In California, Charles Holbert was known there also. I believe in Nevada also. So Charles Holbert, I mean, he was a big man. I mean, he was a 5'5" little guy, but you know, his job and who he was brought him to the ladder of giant, dude. He was a big man. He was respected in the archaeology field in that time between the 1930s on to the late 40s. When he passed. So when he's talking about altars, and he's talking about tombs, and he's talking about seeing the spirits of the earth and sky, watch these hills as he has done, and you will see the spirits too. Oh my God, dude. Charles Holbert's writing about this, dude, and what are we looking at in the skies today? What are the Phoenix Lights, right? What are these miracles, signs, and wonders, and these things that we're seeing in the sky? He calls them spirits. So does the Native Americans of this land. They call them spirits of the earth and the sky. So basically, like I said before, some people will get this book, some people won't. It might take them another 10 years to understand. All right, so if you can't go to the mountain on your own, if you can't make it to Phoenix, Arizona, I bring the mountain to you. I bring these like scrolls. I brought this information down off the mountain and I bring it to you for you to understand, for you to investigate. Okay, just don't take my word for it, man. I want you to go out there and investigate everything that I've said, everything that I'm about ready to explain to you, everything that I've been talking about for the last 20 years, man. You know, everything, dude. Don't believe me? Go out there and investigate it. Look at what I have dug up. Look at what I have uncovered. Okay, now you investigate what I have done, and you be the judge on what's really going on. Okay. That's great. Okay, so let's get into the sighting real quick. Eddie Murray, I believe. Yes, Eddie Murray, great guy, man, out there. Him and his family was out there in New York, in Queens, New York, and I believe this sighting took place in 2015, June 28th. He said, and he said that when he first saw it, you know, it was a cloudy day. You'll see the video. It was a cloudy day, and he saw something kind of abnormal flying through the sky. So, you know, he quickly grabbed his camera and he started filming. You know, he got pretty good video of it before it got away from him. And, you know, he tried to send it to MUFON, I guess, tried to send it to some other, these other so-called experts in UFOs, and they didn't get back to him, you know, because all of this stuff that we have been brainwashed, or we have been hearsay told for the last, I don't know, 60 years, maybe 50 to 60 years about, you know, spaceships and crafts and things like that, you know, stuff that hasn't been proven. I mean, people have written books, you know, oh, I got abducted, you know, people have written books, you know, especially like, let's look at March 13th, 1997. Okay, the Phoenix Lights incident. You know, it's a hearsay story of a craft going 8 miles an hour, mind you, over the city of Phoenix. There's no evidence of this. I should know. I've been doing my research. I was trying to find out some kind of proof of an extraterrestrial craft going over the city of Phoenix. Did I find any? No, I'm still looking. Okay, the only evidence that we find today on what happened that night are lights on the west side of South Mountain. And there were skywatchers ready for this, ready for lights to happen, because they were filming lights prior to March 13th, 1997. Weeks before that, they've been seeing lights. So they're out there with their cameras, dude. This is one of the reasons why we have video of what really happened that night. One of them is Tom King. and he was out there on the west side of South Mountain, ready for anything to happen. Boom, these lights showed up on the west side of South Mountain, and he videotaped them. So my point is, if anything was going to go over the city of Phoenix, Tom King surely would have jumped on that, right? Don't you think? Because he's out there waiting for it. He was a sky watcher at the time. He was videotaping lights in Mesa, all over the valley, back in the day, making the news. Tom King was, he was a UFO guy back then. So he was ready for anything to happen in the skies of Phoenix that night. So if anything was going to go over the city of Phoenix, then he would have captured it. He would have got it. So in studying the Phoenix lights and studying what happened that night, I only found 4 videos. 4 videos of what really happened that night. One Tom King on the west side. We had a couple others, far back, all across away from South Mountain on the east side of the valley, and some on the north side of the valley. And but yet, only four videos, right? And so if a massive V-shaped craft going over the city of Phoenix, going 8 miles an hour, and if a handful of people, my point is, if a handful of people can film lights far west of the valley, and did they go over the Phoenix? Do the lights go over Phoenix? No. The video showed the lights doing an arc, not a V-shape, but an arc. Okay, an arc between the Estrella Mountains, the Indian reservation known as the Estrella Mountains, which means Star Mountain, and South Mountain. So they pretty much made an arc. They linked themselves from one mountain to the next mountain, right? And they were there for like a couple minutes, and then they started all to blink out and disappear, right? That's what's really going on here. So if a handful of people can film lights far west of the valley, then why couldn't the same handful of people film a massive UFO craft going over the city of Phoenix, going reportedly 8 miles an hour, dude? Come on, dude. I mean, Fife Simonton, right? He's out there trying to say, yeah, he saw a craft, but he didn't get a camera. I mean, there's a lot of people say, well, what about Fife Simonton? He was the governor at that time. Well, you know what, dude? You blew your chance. Your credibility went out the door when you first came out and said that you're going to investigate the Phoenix Lights of 1997. And then you come out and make a big news briefing on it. And you're going to get to the bottom of it. And then you bring in some guys in costumes looking like aliens, dude, and saying this is what the Phoenix Lights was. You totally made a mockery of yourself. And then later, when you get out of office, then you come back and then you start to admit, oh yeah, I saw the lights and it was a craft and I chased it down. Dude, man, your credibility is gone, okay? You should have said something when you were in office, man, all right? Not a year or two later, years later, in a documentary, trying to admit and trying to, come out and say, yeah, I saw the lights, and I chased it. I got away from my Secret Service and I chased the lights to this mountain, and you can't get a camera, dude, so thousands of people have witnessed something going over the city of Phoenix. Not one video, okay? So my point is, everybody is looking for crafts, okay? Everybody's looking for spaceships, right? Because that's what we were told. That's what we were led to believe. Spaceships, right? Alpha Centauri, little green men from Mars, right? That's what all the hype has been about for like 50, 60 years now, UFOs from another world, spaceships, technology, right? So when we see something like a light in the sky, we think it's a craft. We think it's a spaceship technology, But what if, dude? What if that light isn't a spaceship at all? But what if that is a living being creature? What if what we're looking at is actually the being itself, not technology, not a little spaceman, not a little guy in a spacesuit, dude? What if that light is actually the entity? It's a living being, right? And what does the Indians talk about these things in the sky and the petroglyphs on the mountain? What do they say? They're teaching us they're shape shifters. Okay, they change shape, they change color, right? And so when you see these things in the sky and they're changing shape, they're changing colors, people automatically assume that that is a balloon. Now, we all know what balloons act like in the wind and blowing and going up. They're erratic. They're bouncing all over the place. They're not in control. They don't have any missions. They're not intelligent. They're just all over the place, dude. They're flip-flapping, doing this, blah. But yet, when you see something in the sky and it's moving real slow or it's staying in the same position and it's going in a straight line, not up, not down, no wind blowing, going against the wind sometimes, in a straight line, dude. They think it's trash. They think it's a balloon. And they blow it off. And that's exactly what we have here with Eddie's video. You know, he wanted to find out what was going on with this. You know, he wanted some answers. So he took this video to people who are looking for spaceships who have not had the experience on seeing UFOs, who's never done their homework, who has never experienced what's really going on here, who has never been out on the field examining what the Indians say about this, examining the petroglyphs, understanding the skies, understanding the sun, the way it moves in the sky. I mean, you know, they haven't done their field work. They are looking at spaceships and crafts. So when you see something like that, they blow it off, dude. They don't want to get to you, you know, because you know because they don't know what it is. It's not a spaceship, right? It's something completely different, right? And that was the problem. So let's take a look at this. So I kind of edited this video. We're gonna see what he filmed, and then I'm gonna show you some slower shots of it. We're going to zoom in on this thing. Here is this is the slow version of it. Let's see if we can let's rewind the video. So this is what he was seeing. This is the regular video here. I can find it. Okay. Let's go back and watch it again. See if I can pause it. Look at that thing. Let's examine what it's doing here. Let's examine. Okay. Let's there we go. Let's try to there we go. Look at that. There we go. Okay. This is interesting. Okay. Let's let the video go and then we're going to do a zoom in, slower up version of it. And this thing was going against the wind, he says. Here's the zoom in part. Here it is. Now look at that. Whoops, let's try to get it again. Oh, look at that. See that thing? Does that look like a balloon? So if it was trash, right? If it was trash, then it wouldn't hold its shape, dude. It'd be flipping around. You know, this thing is clearly on a mission. It's going somewhere. Look at that. It's holding its shape, dude. Look at that. See that? And a lot of people, they see these things and they just automatically assume that they're balloons, they're trash. Because why? They are looking for spaceships. But I think it's time to take a second look on what's really going on here in our skies. Now look at that. Does that look like an animal to you? You know, in my last show, I show these petroglyphs and they're anthropomorphs, okay? The archaeologists, you know, call these shape-shifting carvings anthropomorphs, right? And they're looking like people. They're looking like men. There's a petroglyph that I'm going to be showing to you also in tonight's show. And they morph, they anthropomorph, they change, they shapeshift, just like what we have been told through the Native Americans for all these centuries. The changing shapes, right? They like to look like animals, dude. They like to look like snakes. Quetzalcoatl, the flying serpent, is Mexico. Okay, I filmed that many times in the city of Phoenix. He is alive and well and flying around in the Valley of the Sun. I can tell you that because I have seen him many, many times. And I have verified the, anywhere from 900 to 1,000-year-old petroglyph carvings of the exact same serpent in the sky. Guys looking up at a flying snake. Guys looking up, stick-figure men looking up at a flying lamb, a flying animal, right? Now let's look at this here. What does that kind of remind you of? It kind of reminds me of a cow or a dog or something like that, right? And if it was a balloon, we would clearly understand. We would we would know. I mean, we're not stupid people here. We know what balloons look like. We know what animal balloons look like, right? The mylar balloons, right? Then why doesn't this look like a mylar balloon? Why doesn't this look like an animal balloon, right? Because it's not. It's not a balloon. It is a creature. It is another life form. I find it interesting that, the SETI program and all these people, they're looking for life on the outskirts of the planet. Sure, there's life out there, dude. Microscopic life, organisms and germs and all kinds of shit out there, and they're looking for intelligent life. They're looking for intelligent beings. When I think they really should be looking in our own backyard. Okay, because I'm going to give you a secret, all right? These things are not from another planet. Not from another planet. This is their world also. These things have always been here. This is a major, major secret, major cover-up. These lights, these orbs, these anthropomorphs, these flying serpents, these Quetzalcoatls, these things that we see in the skies are not from another planet, but this is their home also. They live here among us. They have always been here. And what are they doing? Right now, they're absorbing the energy. They're following the sun as it's tracking through the skies of the changing of the seasons. And when the sun gets in the right position of these energy spots around the world, like fault lines, volcanoes, man-made energy sources such as nuclear facilities, it opens up a doorway. It causes a fusion effect. And it attracts these creatures. That's why they're hanging around South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona all the time. Okay? Because South Mountain was created by a fault line. All right? Now, when the sun, during the equinox and the solstice and the changing of the seasons, that sun is in the right position over these energy spots. And the Native Americans talk about it's opening up doorways. Okay? And so these spirals that we see carved out there, these spirals are doorways, right? And the Indians say that they're going down into the underworld, right? They're coming and going through that doorway. The spirals are the doorways. They're coming and going into the underworld. But when you look at it in a scientific area, in a scientific method, you'll start to understand that they're not, going into the underworld. They're absorbing the energy. They're going down into that fault line. All right. Now, after the equinox, after the solstice, the sun starts to change. They go somewhere else. They're following the sun. This is the reason why, we see a lot of UFOs here on the west side of the United States. And then all of a sudden, the equinox or the solstice happens, the changing of the sun in the sky. And now they're gone. Where did they go? They're over there in Florida now. They're over there in Jerusalem, right? They're over there in Paris. Right? And then after the equinox or the solstice, when the sun is changing positions of the earth, boom, they're back over here now. Right? So we're seeing them in Phoenix, Arizona, January, February, March, April, May, June, and July is like the best time, right? Because that sun is right there with these fault lines opening up these doorways. And it's attracting these creatures. It's attracting these beings. Great video, Eddie, and I'm glad that you had me look at this and present this to the public because this is true stuff. I don't know how many times, I've said, look, dude, we need to look, at something a little bit different here. Sure, crafts might exist, right? Spaceships, little green guys running around. I'm open to that. I always have been. I haven't seen any proof of that yet. I see hearsay of people selling books and movies, and want you to go to their lectures and spend $25 to hear them talk, about something that they can't prove. I can walk the walk. I can talk the talk. I can prove everything that I've been saying here for like 20 years, dude. I've been saying the exact same thing. I haven't changed. I first went down this one road, but the evidence was taking me down another road. All right. And it wasn't what everybody was saying here. It wasn't spaceships, little guys, Alpha Centauri and stuff we read in journals and magazines and stuff we see on cable TV shows and ancient aliens and stuff like that. Dude, it's something different. I was the first one to bring this to the UFO community. I did the pilot for the UFO Hunter Show. I did the pilot for the Ancient Aliens TV series. I brought my information to the public. I wrote an article on UFO Magazine in 2005. UFO Hunter Show, Ancient Aliens TV show was just a theory at that time, was just a thought. That TV show wasn't on TV yet, okay? Until after Pat Uskert, we did the pilot. He went around, the whole United States and gathering up these UFO skywatchers, presenting their videos and such. And they found out, after I verified my petroglyph findings, because, in 2005, that's when I first discovered all of this. And, I took this stuff to the news because no one has ever thought of that before. This was a whole new perspective on the Phoenix Lights. Oh, my God. The petroglyphs in Phoenix, Arizona is talking about UFO sightings? Oh, my God. That's breaking news, dude. That's big time news. And it was when I first came out with this. And it was just a theory, we think the Native Americans are seeing, and carving UFOs, on the rocks, but no one has ever proved it before. I did. I was the first one to prove that. It was not hearsay. It was proven. I proved that the videos in the sky, my videos that were analyzed by people in Phoenix, Arizona before, all my videos were analyzed before they hit the news, before they aired, to make sure I'm not faking them, to make sure I'm not photoshopping them, to make sure all my stuff is legit, because what I discovered was a major finding. So they wanted to make sure that they wasn't come back and look foolish, like many times before, and they wanted to make sure that what I was claiming was correct. So they analyzed my videos, then they looked at my findings on the petroglyphs, and it all matched. Everything was there. Everything was credible, dude. You couldn't hide the evidence here, and I kept doing it. These flying serpents, these flying worms, these crooked snakes, right? Flying diamonds, right? Orbs. I even found the petroglyph carving of the Phoenix Lights 1997 Phoenix spread. What happened that night? I found it on South Mountain. It's on the front cover of my book. And I think it's time for us to take a second look at these petroglyphs and take a second look about what we have been told all these years. And let's not just take it, like, okay, let's really look into it, right? Don't just take my word for it. You go out there and you investigate this stuff, dude. But like I said, a lot of people are still thinking crafts, right? This information is years ahead of a lot of skywatchers and so-called UFO experts and all these, people claiming all this stuff. This is beyond them. This information is way over their heads, and it's going to take them another 15 years to understand what's really going on here. And until then, they're still going to say these lights are crafts. They're still going to say that these things are spaceships, all right? But they don't have any proof of that. How I came to this conclusion is I studied the art. I studied the petroglyphs. I understood what the Native Americans were saying about these things. Okay, I went from calling these things craft to calling these things living beings, living entities, because they are highly intelligent. How do you think they're getting away with being in our skies for so long without anybody seeing them, right? And it goes into my book, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but when you go into my book, it explains, about the four worlds and how each time, the world changes, mankind needs these beings in the sky to survive. And so you can find out all that information in my book, and also in my other cable shows. I've done a lot of cable shows over the years. I did the UFO Hunter show in 2007. When it finally came out, we did the pilot in 2005. We did the history show on 2007. I did True TV also, and I was explaining to them. I was like, look, dude, what if this isn't technology here? What if this is a living creature? What if these are living beings? And they're like, dude, you can't say that. You can't say that. If you're going to talk about these things, you have to say that they're spaceships. You have to say that they're crafts. They said, dude, you're filming some bizarre stuff and the public isn't ready for this yet. Oh, dude, that pissed me off. I'm thinking to myself, dude, these things are here, man. This is a major discovery, and it's only a matter of time when other people are going to see these snakes in the sky, when other people are going to see how these things shapeshift and morph, and they just, things are weird, and sure enough, 10 years later, about 10 years, people see me on the cable shows, they see me on the news reports, and then they come back, and they're like, dude, you filmed something back in 2007, and I saw it in my backyard. It's the exact same thing. That thing's alive, man. It's morphing. It's changing. It's alive. It's in the sky, And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm so glad that you saw it, Just like with Eddie here. So great, Eddie. Thank you so much. You're awesome, brother. And if you guys see anything else, please let me know. And I would love to see what you are filming. Okay, so let's see what this is. This is the volcano video, okay? So these things are attracted, like I said, to energy spots, energy sources around the earth, and especially volcanoes and, nuclear facilities. I've seen lights over the Palo Verde nuclear power plant before. And so these things are attracted to these energies. All right. And here's a perfect example on what I'm talking about here. Here we have a light orb. Look at that. I believe this is in Mexico. And this thing is right there next to a volcano. It is absorbing the energy. Okay, and a lot of people think, oh my God, it's lighting up. And so many people are asking me, dude, why do these spaceships need lights? Do they need to see in space? Do they need lights to see where they're going in space? No, man, it has nothing to do with that, dude. When you see these things lighting up like this, they're full of energy, right? That's them, right? Let's look at the firefly. I talked about fireflies in my last show. Okay, the fireflies, the lightning bugs was created to light up. That's exactly what these things are doing, especially when they have a belly full of the Earth's energy. Dude, you sucking up that energy, you're going to glow too, brother. So basically what we're looking at here, the thing is lighting up. Okay, it's right over that volcano. It's absorbing energy. And it's them. This is how they were created. This is not some spaceship we're looking at here. This is not some technology that we're looking at here. This is a living being, a living creature. A lot of people don't understand this yet. Okay, but the petroglyphs told me, they taught me this. When we look at the petroglyphs as, face value, if you start to think, what if this, is not a myth? It's not just a little story. What if what they're seeing, is true? This is what they saw, because they didn't have video cameras back then. They didn't have cameras. They had stone boulders, right? They had these canals, these canyons. They had these sacred mountains where these creatures are hanging out at to carve their sightings on. to tell the next generation, they're for us. These petroglyphs are meant for us because we're seeing the same things in the skies now, right? Because the Indians saw them, and they carved their sightings on the rocks, on the boulders, on the sacred mountains, and now we're seeing them. Instead of carving them, we're videotaping them now. We have cameras. We have better technology now. We're videotaping them. We're doing the exact same thing as the Native American Hohokam Indians did. All right? We're seeing something in the sky. We're recording it. Okay? That's what these petroglyphs, most of the petroglyphs are depicting. Now, there are petroglyphs, on some mountains that are not depicting these entities, these creatures. Some mountains are depicting like ceremonies, okay, kachina dancing, sometimes, hunting, shooting deers, buffalo, stuff like that. But the mountains, the carvings that you want to look for on the mountains, that is the source. If you want to be a UFO researcher, the best thing to do is to find out your history, your area. Find a mountain that talks about a spirit mountain or anything with petroglyphs with spirals. You find a mountain with spiral carvings on it and shape-shifting entities and what looks to be like lizard men, right? Lizard men, flying diamonds, stuff like that. That is where you want to start investigating. That is a sacred mountain. That is a holy mountain. That is where you're going to see the most activity at in your neck of the woods, wherever you live at. Wherever mountain has the spirals on it, that is what you want to watch. Now, you see these things going across the sky, right? They're coming out of one mountain, and they're heading to another mountain. They're coming out of one energy spot. They're going to the next energy spot. That's why you see them when you're going across the sky. They're on a mission, dude. They're going to go suck up some more energy. So I love this video. It's way cool. And it proves the point that these things are here for the Earth's energy. Here's a video that I recorded on South Mountain. This is when in 2005, I was living right there next to South Mountain. Look at this thing. This thing came up out of a doorway on South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona. This thing is not a spaceship. This is not a craft. This is not technology. This thing is alive. It is alive. It's a creature. It's a living being. And they're coming and going from these energy spots out here on our mountains. Like I said, if you have a mountain with spirals, that's the source. That's the heart of it all. That's what you want to watch. And I did. I did for many, 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 many years. I hiked that mountain. I watched these entities, these beings, these shape-shifting creatures, not spaceships, not crafts, but living creatures coming and going from that mountain. Look at that thing. Is that crazy or what? We have the exact same type of carving out there on South Mountain. This thing came out of South Mountain September 12th, 2005 at 5:36. Now, it's great, too, because, once you start to watch these things and understand their pattern, because that's what it is. It's a pattern. And once you start to understand that pattern, you start to watch the sun and start to be a sky watcher like the Indians did and understand where the sun is during the equinox and the solstice and the changing of the seasons and the months and where the energy spots, are. Then you can figure out the pattern. Then you know when they're going to be here. The first year I was watching these things by the mountain, they were here a few months, then they were gone. Then they came back a few months, then they were gone. All right? And then the second year, it repeated itself on the exact same months. Right? Right when the equinox and the solstice and the changing of the seasons. Right? And then the third year, it repeated itself. That was the pattern. Once you figure out that pattern, you'll be able to predict, you'll be able to understand when to see them, what time to see them, what to look for. Because the Indians has already done the work for us. They tell us, dude. The equinox and the solstice, man, these light and shadows going through these spirals. It's not what the archaeologist wants you to believe. It's time to plant corn. Has nothing to do with planting corn. It has everything to do with these beings in the sky, on when they're going to come back, what to look for. They carved on what to look for. You're going to see a flying diamond, dude. You're going to see a flying cross, dude. You're going to see a flying snake, dude. You're going to see some lights, man. That's what these carvings are talking about, right? And it was crazy, too, because South Mountain, like the east side, is a lot older than the west side, okay? And hiking that and exploring South Mountain over many, many, many years, I learned that there were like different beings, like this side of the South Mountain, about like this side over here. That's where the flying diamonds are, because I see a lot of diamond petroglyphs there. Guys looking up at flying diamonds, a lot of doorway carvings. All right, then about a mile away down to the mountain, I see orbs now. I'm seeing flying orbs, white orbs, black orbs, men looking up, and spiral doorways. And then I go about a mile away from that area. Now I'm seeing snakes. I'm seeing flying snakes. I'm seeing Quetzalcoatl carvings. Men looking up at a snake in the sky and spiral doorways. Okay, so many different types of doors for many different types of entities. It's like it's the same type of entity, but like different creatures. There's diamonds here. There's snakes here, flying snakes. There's flying diamonds over here. There's orbs. There are the Phoenix Lights is over there, right? They're all the same type of creature, but they shapeshift, they morph into different looking things. And that's exactly the way South Mountain was going when I was exploring this. These canyons, these huge canyons with spirals in it, what was the doorways? I see up on top of the mountain, down through this canyon area. Up on top, you'll see the man looking up at a flying snake. You walk down that canyon, down through the crevice, you're going to see the spiral doorways. And the doorways are telling you that whole canyon is the doorway. That whole canyon is the doorway to the underworld, to the fault line. Right. Absolutely. That's how I was able, to understand the petroglyphs. Not only that, but I had a Native American shaman explain to me what the doorways were. Explain to me, look, these are, spirits of the earth and the sky. Look at that. It's one of my favorite sightings. And, back in 2005, I don't have a lot of money, and the videotape quality, was shit back then. And I'm a mile away from South Mountain, so that's why, it's not crystal clear HD, because we didn't have HD back in 2005, unless you had a $7,000 camera. And all I could afford was a high 8 Sony high 8 videotape camera. That's all I had to film these things with. I had the direction to look. I was sitting in the exact perfect spot to watch these things on the east side of South Mountain, a mile away from South Mountain, and a camera sticking out my camera window, or out my kitchen window. Because when you research, when you investigate things, you got to get documents. You got to get proof. You have to be on guard. And I sat there for 3 years, man, at that kitchen window with my camera at hand on a tripod, dude. And I waited. If anything was going to get past me, I was either sleeping or I was in the bathroom, man. Because that's where I spent my whole years, sitting by that window and hiking the mountain, finding out what the hell is going on. No one has ever done that before, dude. No one has the time to sit and stare at a damn rock for like 3 to 5 years, right? No one's going to do that, dude. But I did it. I did it in the name of science, in the name of what the hell is going on, what the Phoenix Lights really is, dude. No one's ever done that. They see a light, spaceship, let's write a book. They see a light, it's a craft, let's write a book, and let's do a movie. Because let's exploit the lights, right? Let's make a name for ourselves, right? People, it just really upsets me. And one thing I can honestly tell you, that I don't make any profits for anything I'm doing. I don't make any money from the book that I sell. I told the publishers to give my profits to the book to the foster kids in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't see any profits of that. And if I do sell a book to somebody with cash, I give it to a guy on the street, dude. So it's not about money. It's not about fame. It's about bringing this information to you. It's about taking a second look at these petroglyphs and what the Native Americans are saying about the Phoenix Lights. It's about what I discovered in the library there. It's about what I discovered with the petroglyphs. It's about what I discovered, with the giants, man, and the evidence of the giants. Things like that. That's what it's all about, dude. Bringing this information to you. Not making a profit, not trying to get famous, but bringing the truth to you and having you examine the evidence for yourself. Not just taking my word for it, but examine what is going on here. This is what I did for years. This is what I did for years. All right? I'm bringing it to you now for you to look into it. Okay? And that's exactly what I want you to do. Go up on South Mountain. Go up on these mountains, wherever you live at. Find out the history. If you find that your history consists of a holy, sacred spirit mountain, that's the source. Watch that mountain and keep watching it. Don't give up. Just because you don't see it that first, few months or even a year, don't give up. The mountain says they live there. You got to believe what the mountain says. Got to believe that the mountain says that their doorways, the creatures will be there eventually. Keep going out there. Watch the skies. Let's talk about some of these petroglyphs here real quick. Now, this right here, this is a sideways. I turned the picture sideways. I'm not sure exactly where this was taken at, but this is sideways. And I want you to take a look at these birds, like right here. These what look like birds, right? Only these aren't birds. You see the circles there? Now, what have we talked about so far? They shape shift. They like to look like animals. They like to look like humans. They like to look like snakes, right? So what we have here, what we're looking at here on this petroglyph panel with these circles are the orbs, are the lights that we are seeing in the skies now. Today, we're feeling them. We're seeing them. We're seeing those circles right now. Now, I have actually filmed and verified and videotaped a light in the sky, and out forth that light comes a flying snake, a flying serpent. Then later on, it morphs into what looks like a stick figure guy. I call that Quetzalcoatl on my website, the flying snake. And you can find my website right there. And it's also, you can also read some information about it in my book also. But you can find the sighting on my website, and you can see the petroglyph carving of the flying snakes. And so these circles here are the orbs, are the UFOs that we see today. Not balloons, right? Orbs, lights, and they're morphing, they're shape-shifting. They're trying to look like birds, man. Right? And look over here to the right. And look at that. Look. So here we have, like, I would say that on the left side are the white orbs, right? The white orbs, we've seen the white orbs before. Now look over here on this side of the panel. Do you see the 3 dots there in the belly of those birds? Those are the black orbs. The black dots that we see in the skies. See that? And then over here we have 3 black orbs to the left. We have 3 white orbs to the right. You see where I'm coming at here? See what I'm saying? And what are they doing? They're shape-shifting. They're looking like birds, right? And then we have guys over here to the upper right. We have men looking up at them with their arms raised. That line to the right of them. You see that? Those are human. Those are like little guys. And they got their arms up. They're waving to them, right? And those feet-looking claw things up on top of that crack there, right above, right under that crack or whatever, those claw things, Those are UFOs also. Those are the creatures also. And the blocks down here on the bottom, you see the blocks? Some people like to call them tic-tac. The tic-tac UFOs, right? This is how to understand these petroglyphs. Now, when you start to look at it in this way, when you examine the petroglyphs like this, it all makes sense. And you even have to look at the landscape too, because the artist is including the landscape in with the art. So this rock is kind of like an arrow, right? It's like a pointy arrow, and it's pointing up. Like I said before, this photograph is on its side, so that's the cloud that we're seeing to the right. So actually, this panel is going up. All right, so it's facing towards those boulders over there, and I'm sure if you go over there and examine those boulders over there, you'll find more of the story, because the panel is facing that way. All right, the petroglyphs are facing that way. All right, so you want to go that way to find the rest of the story. So when you look at it that way, you really start to understand these petroglyphs here. You really start to, it makes your brain think, dude. Oh my God, the evidence has been here the whole time. Now this panel is on South Mountain. Now look at that. We have a barbell up there to the upper right. We have an orb under the barbell. We have a guy. Look at that man, dude. He's hanging onto that barbell. He is flying. He's flying in the sky with these creatures. There's a lot of petroglyphs out there depicting man in flight with these beings. Okay? And these orbs and these serpents and these diamonds, right, have this line that comes down from them. And it's depicting them picking up animals, goats, people, deers, coyotes. These creatures have this line coming down, picking up these animals and taking them off into the sky, including man. I've seen a lot of petroglyphs out there that are taking men up into the sky. And when you read my book, when you understand my book, you will then start to understand what truly happened to the Hohokam Indians who first lived here in the Valley of the Sun for 1,000 years. They were masters of the canal system. They lived here for 1,000 years, and then one day they vanished. They up and took off. They're gone. Archaeologists want us to believe they simply migrated. They migrated somewhere else, but yet we do not find any evidence on where they went. But the petroglyphs talk about where they went. Charles Holbert writes in his journals where they went. Where did he learn that from? From the stories from the Native Americans at that time, who has been told from generation to 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 Holbert's generation to tell Holbert, the park ranger, what happened to these people. It's in my book. Not hearsay. Fact. It's in the library. When you go to my website down below, you can actually see the writings of Charles Holbert. I made photocopies. I made a lot of photocopies, dude. When I was up there looking at all this proof, all this evidence, oh my God, dude. You can't take it out of the library because it's at the government department, So I took photocopies of everything I could, and, Charles' journals, Charles Holbert's son, he wrote a book about his dad, about South Mountain and the spirits and the gold and the Mayans and the sacrifice. And, so yeah, dude, it's not just me saying this, dude. This has always been here. This is something that hasn't been talked about in 80 years. Because when Holbert died in the 1940s, late 40s, they buried all his information. They tucked all his information, put it in a folder in the library, never to talk about it ever again. And they thought they got away with it. And they did for 80 years until I did the investigations on the Phoenix Lights, and I dug up a whole new chapter of what the Phoenix Lights is that goes along with Phoenix, Arizona's history. That's Phoenix history, is the Phoenix Lights, is what we see in the skies today. These orbs, these black orbs, these diamonds, these lights, it's all part of Phoenix history. They've always been here. They have always been here. And that's what these carvings are letting us know about. So when you're driving down on, this is on Central. When you're driving down on Central Avenue towards South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona, when you're heading south towards the mountain, you'll see these lights, right? There's like Indian art all over Phoenix. There's like Native American art all over the place. But when you actually look at what it's talking about and understand what's going on, you'll understand that this art is talking about a mountain. Let's look at it real quick. See the mountain there? Now this lizard, this diamond-shaped lizard, this anthropomorphine lizard, because he's got a diamond, dude. Look at his belly. Is that a normal belly for a lizard? Is that really a normal belly for a lizard? Think about it. It's a diamond, okay? Diamond. And he's morphing. He's shape-shifting into a lizard. He's mimicking a lizard. And where is he coming out of? A spiral doorway. And so when the spiral ends down, it's a doorway in. The spiral ends up, it's a doorway out. It's a doorway up. It's a vortex in the sky. When the spiral, and look, it's a diamond spiral also. You get it? You get it? It's a diamond, right? I've seen diamonds. I filmed diamonds in the sky. Look on my page. Look on my website there. You can see a diamond. I filmed a few diamonds. And it's a diamond spiral. We have a diamond lizard, right? And now we have orbs. We have orbs right there to the right. Now, all of this is inside the mountain. So this art is telling us that this mountain consists of a doorway for the spirits, the diamond spirits, right? And these diamonds, he likes to anthropomorph into a lizard. Some say lizard men. And then also we have orbs. Orbs likes to come out of this mountain, out of this doorway also. You see? When you start looking at it that way, it all makes sense, dude. It all makes sense. And the evidence have always been here right in front of our eyes, dude. But these people, a lot of people, they just blow it off. They just think, oh, it's neat. It's Native American art. No, dude. It's telling a story. It's telling us. It's a prehistoric photograph of what we're seeing in the skies right now. Isn't that great? That's great. Here we go again, dude. Giants? Bigfoot? Oh my God, dude, right? Come on now. Look at his feet, dude. Is Sasquatch real? Is Bigfoot real? Woo. Native Americans say they are. They draw them in their art, right? Giants, dude, and we're going to talk about giants here on the second half of this show. Look at that. And they got feet, dude. Love it. Just love it, dude. See, when we look at the art in a certain way, it makes sense. Okay? It's only obvious. It's only obvious, right? Love it, dude. I just love it. It's history. It's our history. Okay, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk about the big wall that I discovered out there on South Mountain. If I can find the... Okay, well...
A lot of people believe these are more spiritual or interdimensional beings rather than a spaceship, rather than a UFO, a flying saucer. Now, I believe there could possibly be both of these. There could be these interdimensional energies or spiritual energies. It's really interesting. A guy that I actually had on this channel who's appeared on UFO Hunters, on History Channel, had his own show for a little while, Jeff Woolwine. He actually hosts the Petroglyphs in the Sky show on Facebook and YouTube, and you can go check him out. He's 20 years in the game, been investigating UFOs and petroglyphs out in Arizona and South Mountain for years upon years, and he has a ridiculous amount of great evidence accumulated from that. And now a lot of what they see in Arizona tend to be these orbs. I'm not saying this video for sure is depicting exactly what he's seeing out there, but I did find a lot of similarities, and I thought that was really interesting because a lot of people believe these are more spiritual or interdimensional beings rather than a spaceship, rather than a UFO, a flying saucer. Now, I believe there could possibly be both of these. There could be these interdimensional energies or spiritual energies.
Thank you, Michael Beavers, man, for giving a shout out and promoting the channel. And I suggest that everybody go follow Michael Beavers also. And UFOs over UFO. It's kind of tricky, tongue twister there. But yeah, the guy's awesome. Check out his channel and go follow him. And, great guy. And so, yeah, you're going to learn a lot from that guy. He's great. Okay, so let's talk about like, comment, and share. Hello, yay! So let's get this information to the public, dude. Let's start telling people exactly what's going on here. Thank you all for watching the show and sharing it. Okay, so let's get into this real quick. As soon as we find what the picture that I want to talk about. Okay, so on South Mountain, all right. Now that's Phoenix, Arizona behind us there, okay. When you drive on Central and you take Central all the way south to South Mountain, right when you're curving to go into the mountain, you want to look up to the upper left. And when you do, you'll see a whole bunch of debris. We're going to show photographs of that here in a minute. Now, on the other side of this debris, on the other side of this hill, is this huge wall. And this wall, I mean, has been buried. You see that? See how the rest of the wall has been buried? This was a major structure at one time. Look how precisely these bricks, these rocks have been chiseled and placed up here on South Mountain. Okay? This is not natural. We see the exact same type of wall like in Mexico or in the Aztec pyramids, also in Egypt pyramids, right? Look at the stones. Look how they're stacked, okay? There's actually a spiral carving. It's really hard to see. Maybe I can zoom in on this a little better here. But there's a spiral carving. Yeah, you can barely see it on the dark rock there. You can barely see a circle. That is a spiral. Okay? Now, these blocks, these stones, have been cut and placed on top of each other. Look how precise that is, right? Look at that. This is a major, major wall. This is one evidence. I found many evidence up there of the giants. Giants did walk here in the Valley of the Sun, did walk in Phoenix, Arizona. There's tons of evidence. When you go to my website, you can see some of the tombs. One of the tombs there where the rocks have been, the boulders have been broken apart, picked up, thrown into this little wall here, little canyon to conceal the door. Okay, so who could have picked that damn boulder up, man? Somebody very strong, very powerful. All right, there's lots of evidence of the giants. There's carvings of the giants, and then we have this type of wall that, look at the bricks, look at the boulders here. They're huge. They're stacked on top of each other. And it goes further back. You can see the dirt here. I'm standing on it. It goes way back into, this hill that has, it's been purposely covered up. So I think the Mayans probably, or the Hohokam Indians covered the rest of this wall up, because I believe it goes deeper into the ground there. And so you would never know that. You would never know about this wall. And look, see how close it is to the city? It's overlooking Phoenix, Arizona. It's sitting right on top of a major hill. As soon as you drive into South Mountain, you look up on the hill to the left, and you'll see a whole bunch of blown up rocks, devastation rocks. All right, now this is what you're going to see. Here's a photograph of the other side. I'm up on top of the wall, and I took this photograph here. And see how it's all blown up? It's all devastated. You see that? They blew up on that side of the wall. They blew it up. Let me just get this out of the way here. Let me move this over here. Let's look at this here. Okay. Oh yeah, here's another picture of that side of the wall. Look at that. Isn't that neat? Isn't that crazy? That is a wall sticking out of a hill, dude. A man-made hill. Okay. The Indians covered all this up. They made a man-made dirt hill, a massive one, right? And yes, it's a pyramid hill, pyramid. So there is a tomb. That's one of the giveaways here, the pyramids. I found many tombs on South Mountain with pyramids, right? The tomb that's on my website is in a pyramid. It's in a pyramid mountain. Check that out. Also, my book, you can see that there's other pyramid mountains with tombs in them. But look, see clearly, you can clearly tell that those rocks have been stacked on top of each other, right? Let's move this over here for a minute. Now, here's that little hook there. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, here's what it looks like on the other side. You see that? Look at what they did. Now, why would they do that? Why would they blow the hell out of that thing on this side? Facing Phoenix, Arizona, facing the entrance to the park. Why would they blow it up like that? Look at that. This is on the other side of the wall. There were tons of petroglyphs. There's tons of petroglyphs on this wall here, on this side that we're looking at. But they blew it all to hell, man. And I only found one little petroglyph high up on the mountain. It's a diamond with a dot, and he's growing some legs. A little anthropomorph diamond. That's all that's up there. And the rest, they just blew it up. because they don't want people to know what this was at one time. There's no reason for this. The CCC did this back in the early 1940s during the Depression. The Civil Conservation Corps. 200 to 300 young men lived on South Mountain for 3 years, okay, under the New Deal of President Roosevelt. And they made ramadas, they made campsites, they made trails, they also dug for mines. There's a lot of mines up there. They pulled about $60,000 worth of gold and silver out of South Mountain. They made trails, and they also blew up petroglyphs. Petroglyphs depicting, like, because they're trying to make this a family-oriented state park, okay? And demonic creatures carved on walls, performing sacrificing, and things like that, and creatures taking men up into the sky, isn't really family-oriented, right? And so they blew up a lot of the story, especially down here on ground level. Areas that, on South Mountain, where you can get to, where you can see, most of the petroglyphs, depicting this type of demonic activity, these type of creatures, the phoenix lights, the flying serpents, the diamonds, the crooked snakes, the orbs, all that stuff, has been blown up at eye level. All right, all that stuff. But when you go up higher on the mountain, they didn't think that people were going to get that high on the mountain to figure out more of the story. All right, and that's what I had to do to understand more of the story. You had to climb higher on the mountain to get away from the devastation that the CCC did. There's no cause for that. I mean, that's just bullshit. They blew the hell out of it, right? Now look at this. Here's and on a major chunk at the bottom, this was part of the wall, and that's how they moved these huge stones. Now look, my point is they had to use a crane to pick up this huge slab of rock. But yet those huge slabs of rock were stacked up neatly in a pile up there, making a wall. Now, if people nowadays, if our generation or their generation, had to use a crane to pick up these boulders, then how the hell did the Indians pick up these boulders to construct the wall? See my point here? How the hell did they do that, right? Unless it wasn't the Indians at all. Maybe it was the giants, or maybe it was something a little bit, more powerful than man. But yeah, that's what they did to it. They totally destroyed it. Here's on top of it. See that? Look at this here. Look at that. I mean, what is up with that, right? Why would they do that? Because they're hiding the fact that there is a lot more to the Hohokam Indians than just a peace-loving race that were masters of the canal systems and lived for 1,000 years. There's a lot more to the Phoenix, Arizona history, all right? And this is the evidence of what they did to hide, to try to conceal the evidence. But when you go in and you look at what they did, and you look at what's going on, what they're trying to hide, you can clearly see what's going on here. You get a better understanding on what history of Phoenix, Arizona really is, from the prehistoric photographs carved on the rocks. It's not just some story. Man, they're telling us what happened here. They're telling us where they went. They're telling us about the Phoenix Lights. They're telling us about what these UFOs are because they saw them. They actually dealt with these things, dude. They interacted with these creatures. We have yet to do that. That is the next stage. They're already up there, morphine, changing shape, coming out of the light doorways. You know, they're already doing that. You know, orbs into snakes, orbs into diamonds. You know, that's the second stage. First stage is they're making presence. Second stage is they're morphing. They're looking like men. They're looking like snakes. Third stage, they're coming down. They're going to interact with us, right? More information about that is in my book. That is for another time. Very interesting, isn't it? Very, very interesting. Oh yeah, here's another angle of it, another photograph. See that? And then you can see the chain. You can see the little chain right there on the bottom left there. See that? Where they picked it up. My God, dude. If they needed tractors to pick up these stones, then how did the Indians get those stones up there to make a wall? Come on, people. Let's use our brains here. The photographs carved on the rocks say the giants were here. Say that the giants were here. The oral traditions in Phoenix, Arizona talk about the giants. Okay? When you dig into the evidence, when you really start looking about what our history really is, and not just take the word of some archaeologist, or some college student, but actually go out on the field, go out there and investigate the landscape, investigate what's going on, you're going to find a whole completely different story, man. The story that they're not talking about, but yet the evidence is clearly there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And let's hope that next year, 2021 is a lot better than this last year, 2020, man. That 2020 has just got to go. Thank God we're at the end of it. Let's have a safe and better new year in 2021. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you guys have any UFO sightings you want me to take a look at, any petroglyph carvings, you have any questions, message me on Facebook. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Find me on YouTube, the Phoenix Lights, Petroglyphs in the Sky. And thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. And may you have a great, better new year. See you guys. Bye-bye. Thanks again.
Petroglyphs in the sky. Watch from UFOs fly by. We in the southwest Arizona. UFOs out among us. Petroglyphs in the sky. Watch from UFOs fly by.